Well, hello there, welcome back to my channel, guys. Yes, today I have for you yet again another exciting video. I must apologize, I had actually recorded this before, but something went wrong and I had to scrap the video. And so it so happened that night came down where I am, but nevertheless you guys can still see me, so I hope that you won't mind, right? Now, what will we be discussing in this video? As you can see, the title suggests early signs that Pathway members or members of the Pathway cult should have seen, right? A challenge to not be biblically illiterate. A couple while back, in about April, I did a video talking about the reason, talking about the challenge of biblical illiteracy in JA and in the world, right? And I stated that there are two things that make Jamaicans very vulnerable. One, Jamaica is a country that allows for freedom of worship irrespective of what you believe, right? Which in and of itself is a good thing, though it's a double-edged sword, because being a country that accommodates almost all form of worship, so long as it doesn't involve breaking of the law, it can be problematic when there are no Christian detectives or police, then so to speak, that are around to actually protect the faith. When I say Christian detectives, I mean apologists, right, of which I am one of them. But Jamaica is a country that doesn't value apologetics. Reason being, as I said before, it is because of the culture and the constituency which allows for all forms of worship, right? And as a result of this, doing an apologetics ministry would make persons kinda, how should I put it now, would kinda maybe screw at it, because when you're doing an apologetics ministry, it's like you're barging in, then so to speak, on persons' right to worship and right to believe whatever they want to believe. This is how I think it feels to persons, Christians in particular, right? Though apologetics is actually biblical, right? When Paul says that you should be ready to give an answer, right, for the hope that is in you with meekness and in fear. The word give an answer comes from the Greek word which means apologia, right? And that is where the word apologetics actually comes from. So it is something that the Bible endorses, an apologetics ministry. Paul himself that you should say that you should contend for the faith that was once for all delivered unto the saints. And the Greek word for contend there simply means to defend, and so to speak. So basically, defend the faith that was once for all delivered for the saints. I could give you many other scripture passages, but I'll leave it at that. Right? It is for those Christians who have the mentality that you shouldn't do an apologetics ministry. For those Christians who doesn't value apologetics, it is something that the Bible itself actually endorses. But that being said, because of that kind of spirit, right, coupled with a high biblical illiteracy rate, one that Jamaicans should be ashamed for. Reason being is because Jamaica boasts itself to be a country that has the most churches per square mile in the world. Yet still, the biblical illiteracy is far too high for such a country that has such a boast. Right? We should be ashamed of ourselves. But this video is not one to actually make you ashamed. Right? There is an end goal to this video, which I will say at the very end of this video. That said, we are going to now look at the early red flags that persons should have actually seen. Right, I'm going to talk about them briefly, but I'll post the link in the comment section for you guys to basically know, or for you guys to basically read, should say rather. One of them is that persons were basically instructed to take out loans, right, and to basically give to the pastor, right, because there was an ark that was needed to be prepared, right, by the pastor. An ark to be prepared by the pastor because something was coming, right, and they needed to be prepared. And that safe haven is the quote-unquote ark, which is the building, then the church itself. Those who the cost to be a part of that ark was 100,000 Jamaican dollars. Right? Persons who didn't have it right away had to go and take out loan, right? If they couldn't get the loan to come up with $100,000, sorry, they had to come up with some money. And while these persons paid that lump sum of money, they were basically fed with mackerel, dumpling, and mackerel gravy, right? Not even the mackerel itself, the gravy, right? And they slept on concrete floors. They didn't even have a bed to sleep on when they stay in the ark. And yet still, they pay a lot of money to actually be a part of that ark. The link is in the comment section for you guys to check it out. Nudity was practiced at the church, right? Also, members had to confess their sins, and so to speak, something similar to what Roman Catholic priests actually practice, right? So they confess the sins. When persons commit any sexual sins, the pastor would make it a regular practice to speak about it publicly in the church and shame them, so to speak, right? Their very first paycheck, they had to give it to the pastor, and the pastor called it first fruits. It's a biblical concept that I won't get into in this video, but I'll have a special video where I talk about that, right? Let's talk about other red flags that they should have seen. Other red flags is that the pastor was basically saying that Selassie, Emperor Selassie, is God, and that members of his congregation should basically listen to secular music, dancehall and reggae, and they should listen to persons like Capleton, Sizzler, Buju Banton, Beanie Man, Queen Ifrica. All of these persons identify themselves as quote-unquote Rasta, then, so to speak, right? And he ascribed divinity to the late Emperor Selassie, right? They were told to basically smoke marijuana, which is deeply engraved in Jamaican's culture, even though marijuana itself is illegal, right? In our country, members was basically encouraged to even smoke marijuana, right? And aside from that, Emperor, or the late Kevin Smith, has called himself His Excellency, right? And he basically said that he was God in flesh. He called himself the resurrection and the life, right? And multiple times he said this to his members. And there were two members who were basically, one of them was called Gabriel the Archangel, and the next one was called Michael the Archangel, right? These are all red flags, that the members of the church should have seen from very, very, very early. It should not have reached the point where he end up sacrifice two of the members, right? Because they should have seen these early telltale signs, and they should have left the church like ASAP. It was highly controlling. That's another thing as well. And aside from that, there was abuse that was basically practiced in the church. Persons were abused physically in the church, and these were early signs that they should have seen. There was one member, one of the persons who was actually sacrificed. One of the members had actually taken put the pastor on their insurance policy, then, so to speak, right? That's another red flag that person should have seen. Now, to basically end this, I'm going to show you 3 clips, right, of which there were 3 other red flags that members of the church should have seen and they should have responded to, right? Check out the first one.
You were there with me.
This type of entrance, right? The link for that clip is going to be posted in the comment section for non-Jamaicans to check it out if they want to. Most Jamaicans are fully up to date right now where this cult leader is concerned, because like I said, I did 2 videos on him, right, which I'm going to pin also in the comment section. I'll try to. If I don't pin it there, you can check out my playlist section titled Cult / New Religious Movement or Current Affairs. You will see the 2 videos there. This man, right, the kind of entrance that he got, I think it was his birthday, right, is what I only see happen for royalties, right, or for persons in government, like for instance the Governor General, right. And I remember when one of our late prime ministers was actually being burying on the day of his funeral. This was the kind of things that actually happened. Persons traveling in limousine, and there was one section at JDF camp in Kingston that was basically locked off, right? Meaning that an entire section was basically locked off, right? This is the kind of treatment that royal figures actually get. Right? Jesus never received this kind of treatment, neither did any of his apostles nor any of the prophets and so on. Right? But yet still, we see a supposedly pastor, right, prophet, who calls himself His Excellency, and he was basically treated like royalty, as almost as if he's a god. Right? This is the kind of treatment, and this is a red flag that person should have seen, but they didn't see it. Why? Because they are biblically illiterate, right? Now, let's check out another video.
Everybody wants to touch us on me. Everybody wants to touch us on me. Everybody wants to see us. They want to touch us on me. They want to touch us. Yeah. Something all right.
JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, female member of Pathways says it's a demonic attack on the man of God. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.
Don't you see that the news was showing you are here and you're not paying attention and you wonder why? Hey, Chineke, I didn't say that you were showing him. So nothing make up your face and make your face look like when Pum Pum Nana used. You know...
Yes, and this is the other red flag for my non-Jamaicans. That P word that you see the man basically use, it is in Jamaican terminology, it is the Jamaican version for vagina. Then that's the patois version for vagina. So what he's basically saying, members they make up their face like when vagina doesn't have any use, right? Now the man, it is basically discovered that he was gay, right? And he normally speak about women in a derogatory way. The links are there in the comment section for you guys to basically read it, right? Now these are red flags that they should have seen and said to themselves that why does this man talk about women in the way that they actually do? And is it right for someone who claims to say that they are quote-unquote pastor and prophet to basically conduct themselves in the manner of which he conducted himself in the church? These are red flags, you know, that members of the church should have seen. You know, it should not have taken them so long for them to see those red flags, you know. It should not have taken them so long for them to see those red flags. Now let me show you the last most telling red flag that they should have seen from a very early stage. Check it out.
Was then $19. But we want to rectify it because so far the adult class is winning and the rest them are beaten or bad. Now it's 4,900. Isn't I wanna guessing I wanna playing Scrabble. Oh, who they pay to? I'm right here. Sent along with one of the young men. All right, those of you who are late this morning, can I have the late book? I know all who was here from this morning. Is that this one? Put it in this one. How many of you were late? $200 can pay for the whole of your Jingbang family. I'm going to start calling out names. I don't see Paula, you will come to me then. Arlene Martin Palmer Harriet. Isaiah James. I saw Jacqueline. Norma Willocks is late to church. Where's Norma? Norma, I need to talk to you. Is either you find a new man? So why are you not coming to church no more? You have fixed fence when you should be at church. Your fence are going to drop down. You get more than drop down. And then I tell you, so you take them land. See there. Who else is here? Uh-huh. How you doing? You still singing? So your mouth lean, sir? Huh? Say it again?
Yes, guys, another red flag that they should have seen from a very early stage. Can you imagine you reaching to church late and you're actually paying late fee? This doesn't happen at work, right? And I'm sure that this doesn't happen at most schools. It happened at my school that I used to attend, right? But it wasn't a thing that always happened there. It was just something that they implement to punish students who actually reach late, right? But still, really? At church, whenever you reach late, you have to pay a late fee? To add to this red flag that they should have seen, when persons even want the pastor to actually pray for them or to give them some kind of pastoral counseling and so forth, pray for them or give them some form of pastoral counseling, they often had to pay. Why? Because it says that his services are not for free. Guys, the red flags are so many. Time would fail me to actually speak about all of them, right? But why? What's the reason for persons to not see these early red flags? Because without bias, you know, I must admit that even in other cults, like for instance Jehovah's Witness, I can't speak for Mormons. I'm not that informed about Mormons, even though I know that it's a cult, right? But with the Jehovah's Witness church, right? Yes, the red flags are there, but they are not so blatant for that persons would detect them right away. The red flags are there, you know. Same thing with the Seventh-day Adventist church, but they are not so blatant. Seventh-day Adventists and even Jehovah's Witness, most of those cults, they are far more subtle in how they actually go about deceiving people, and so to speak, right? They are not so brazen and so open as Kevin Smith. His thing was so brazen and so open, only someone who is illiterate could have been there and not actually seen that no, something is not right. This is a great level of deception, and I wouldn't even call Kevin Smith to be subtle, to be honest. I don't consider it to his actions to be subtle, because they are clear. Only an illiterate could actually see those things and don't realize that something is wrong. No. He cannot be compared to your Seventh-day Adventists, your Jehovah's Witness, or your Mormons and those groups with subtlety. He cannot be compared to them. But yet still, his members all fell for it. If those persons could actually fall for those kind of scams and so forth that they should have seen right away, what says other cults that are more subtle, that are not as extreme as him, but are yet more subtle? Now you see that all things religious has his work cut out for him. But why did I go so far in actually showing you or even talking about this? It is because there is something that I want you guys to actually understand. When it comes to cults, most of them are more subtle than him. But when you listen to the story of many of them, how they say it started is that they see little signs, right, and they ignore the signs. What caused many of them to fall for these things that I don't consider to be subtle? It is because in the early stage, he was able to gain their confidence. One of the persons basically said that he prophesied of things and the things would basically come true, right? And due to this factor, it is one of the things that caused them to believe in him. And as a result of believing in him, the things that they saw as positive, right, caused him to basically win their confidence and for them to believe in him. And as a result of this, when the signs start to show, they ignore them. They ignore the more mild signs, until little by little, greater signs start to come, and each time they get ignored, because it starts from the mild, until it starts to build up, right? And as a result of building up, alas, it reached a place where persons was actually sacrificed. Persons lost their lives. And the thing that I want to point out to you is that just like in a regular life, in relationships and so on, when you see early signs and you see early red flags, you shouldn't ignore them, because when you ignore them, it gradually gets worse and worse and worse. And so it is with cults. The minute you see early signs, you need to beware. Once you see early signs. Now, what caused them to believe in him and what and end up causing them to be led so easily, led astray so easily? I'm going to have a special video where I talk about how can you tell whether a person is a genuine child of God, a genuine prophet, teacher, or apostle, if they so call themselves thus. I'm going to have a video where I talk about that, where you can know when a person is a false apostle, false prophet, or false teacher, right? I'm going to dedicate a video specifically for that. I won't say when, but by God's grace, if you don't get it by this weekend, you will get it next weekend. That said, I hope that you all are edified by this video. If you are, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Bye bye now.